Well, it looks like I'm going to have to cut a few out because I've not been as productive as I would have liked to have been in March, I'm afraid. Let's get right into it. MacGyver has been remade, and I love it. I've never seen the original. I've been aware of its existence all my life. I'm not even really going to talk about the objective quality of the show, because I really don't care. There are certain types of shows, films that I watch. If they align with a certain goal that I have, a long-term goal for either my future career or self-development or something like that. These tend to be based around the brain or future technologies. In the case of MacGyver, it's very education focused. You can't watch the show without learning about chemistry to some extent. With these shows and films, they could be universally seen as terrible. I mean, Lucy and Transcendence are among them. But it doesn't matter because they give me a goal to focus on, or they make me optimistic about the future. The Weeknd, featuring Daft Punk, I Feel It Coming. Now, the very first time I heard that, I knew that Daft Punk was involved. Firstly, because they'd already done a collaboration with The Weeknd, Starboy. But secondly, because when the vocoder comes in, there's no doubt. There's no question in your mind. It's such an incredibly groovy song. Now, it's been out for a while, but I've only really heard it properly recently when I saw the video on YouTube. I was hearing it on the radio at my work, but the sound's quite tinny on that. It's always turned down quite low, so you can't really hear it properly. But when I actually sat down and listened to it, it just sounds incredible. I used to think that mainstream music was terrible, but in the last few years, especially in the last 1 or 2 years, I'm loving so much of what's coming out. Now, Logan wins this one by default because I haven't seen any other film this month. Certainly not at the cinema. I don't think I've even seen anything on the TV here. It's a brilliant film. Easily the best of the 3 Wolverine films. There's no question about that. Not that it ever really had any competition, of course. I would say ranks possibly second or third in my assessment of all of the X-Men films as well. First Class will always be number 1. That's a masterpiece. But Logan is pretty amazing. But I have one bone to pick with it, pun intended. The only significant future technology that it featured was self-driving trucks. And those looked amazing in the film. But most people were still driving their cars. Now, self-driving technology at the moment is focused on cars. Right? Tesla are focusing on cars, Uber are focusing on cars. Trucks, yeah, there's some progress out there, but cars are where it's going to happen first. And by 2029, I'm 100% convinced most cars on the road will be self-driving. Now, history was the first subject I dropped at school. So this might seem like an odd choice for my favourite YouTuber of the month, but it has to go to AlternateHistoryHub. He does animation-based videos based on the concept, what would happen if, for example, Germany won World War II? He has 4 videos on that. The reason I like this channel so much is I think it's the perfect way, the absolute, unquestioned perfect way to teach history, to convince people, why it's so important to learn about it, why it's relevant. And that's, if one thing changed in the past, it would dramatically affect the future. We, of course, know this as the butterfly effect or chaos theory or whatever you want to call it. And in order to be able to predict how the present would have turned out, if that change had been made in the past, you need to know tons about all different fields. Not just history, but sociology, psychology, science. The videos pretty much demand repeat viewing because unless you have an encyclopedic knowledge of history, you're very unlikely to follow them the first time around. You need to know about all of these different areas. You need to know the exact specifics of what happened in that time period. And so just like MacGyver, you're given an education with very little effort, and where effort is required, you have an enormous incentive to do it. is brilliant. Now, I was pretty sure of my pick here very early on, because when I saw this video, it was by far the best YouTube video I've ever seen. And then something came along and beat that. So I want to give an honourable mention to Boyinaband's video, Why AI Will Probably Kill Us All. Dave has utterly perfected the art of making a YouTube video on your own and making it engaging and creative and at the same time educational. Combine that with my natural love for all things the future and technology, and name dropping some of my favourite people, Elon Musk for example. It's as if he tailored it specifically to make it my favourite video ever. So what the hell came along and beat that? Well, I would never have seen this coming, right? Because I'm subscribed to this person and I like their videos, but it's a very, very different type of video. This is the travel vlogger Raya WasHere, and the video is called How I Changed My Life. Now in this video she talks about her struggles with body image and her experiences with a self-help organisation called the Landmark Forum. Now it's possible this organisation is just repackaging aspects of psychotherapy in an effort to make money. I accept that, but it clearly had a transformative effect on her. And just by talking about what she learned, it's having a transformative effect on me as well. I talked, even just in my last video, about some social issues that I have, difficulty starting conversations and starting topics and things like that. This is something that I've struggled with since I was at least, I would say, 14. But what I kind of managed to figure out as a result of the perspective change that that video gave me is, and I'll use this to seamlessly segue into my favourite piece of knowledge, is that I kind of still view myself as a child compared to other adults, even at 27 and a half. Just by learning that one crucial fact about myself, I may be able to change one of my most damaging personality traits. That's damaging to how, in terms of how it affects my life. And if that succeeds, even Dave's perfectly tailored video can't hope to compete with that. And I will never be able to thank Raya enough for making that video. And finally, some musings on productivity. I procrastinate a lot. It's one of the reasons why you haven't seen a video from me every week. I'm trying to do that. I'm trying to be consistent in terms of when I upload, but I still have huge problems motivating myself to actually make the videos. But I've made some progress, and I want to share that with you now. The first thing you need to know, right, is, this especially applies if you have a full-time job. What you do is you need to have thought about what you want to do in advance. So if you have a spare moment when you're at work, or in the morning before you wake up, or whenever it happens to be, know exactly down to the tiny specific detail what it is you want to do. Then, when you get to your computer, which is a clusterfuck of distractions, what you need to do is open up a Word document or whatever it is, whatever programs or apps, if maybe it's a tablet or something, that you need to open in order to get started. Open those first. Don't open the internet first, Facebook, YouTube, whatever it happens to be. Open those apps first. Get started. Give yourself a certain amount of time, say maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes. By then you should be, if you're doing what it is you really want to do, you should be in flow by the end of that time. Flow is the psychological state where you feel like you can do pretty much anything. You're just, you're fully invested in what you're doing. You couldn't stop yourself even if you tried. Get to that point, take enough time to get to that point, and you will keep going. The idea is just to minimize any time, any thinking time that might allow intrusive thoughts that stop you from getting on with what it is you want to do from entering your head. Now, I uploaded my March challenge, but it was a disaster. It was definitely longer than 2 minutes. I I'm not too worried about that because what could I really have done in 2 minutes? I think that was a stupid goal to set myself. But I said in the description I would fail if I didn't upload it by April 1st. And before April 1st, I uploaded it on April 2nd. So I failed. But there's a bigger reason behind why I failed. Yes, some of it has to do with motivation, as I was just talking about, but the bigger reason is there's still a lot of unfinished admin tasks associated with the Operatic that I need to sort out, I think, before I can really focus on making videos. I'm talking about the website, I'm talking about making sure my social media accounts are professional. So with that in mind, my April challenge is just get the redesign of the website up. That's the main one. But then all of the small things as well. The banners on the other channels. For example, the fact that my Shapeways store only has one product. The fact that I'm very consistent in terms of how I tweet, in terms of my Facebook posts. I need to include Quora in my social media accounts down below as well, because I'm on that quite a lot. All of these things have to be sorted out, and if I ever want to have more than 8 subscribers, I've got to get my act together when it comes to these kind of things, so that is the priority. The only way I would say I really fail this is if I don't have the website up and running, but the other things are so small, I should be able to sort those out. And if I can't do that by focusing almost entirely on that in the next month, then what can you do? I will still be uploading videos, but I might cut down on the length just to make sure they don't interfere too much with the other goals. Plus, I'm moving flat and changing job this month, so there's that as well. If you like this video, please like it, comment down below, and subscribe, and I will see you all next time.